Hey guys, what's up? I wanted to open up about an addiction. Man, oh man, nicotine has been pretty present in my life, especially since high school. More so here in Italy than in the United States. A lot of people don't smoke cigarettes, and I was one of the dumbasses that wanted to smoke. Like, I knew the risks, I knew it was bad. In middle school, they really pounded that in our heads. Smoking is bad, guys, but I didn't care about those risks. I just was so miserable. 14, 15, 16 years old. That's when I first kind of got into it. The cigarettes, also vaping. Not as much, but sometimes I would vape. I loved doing the tricks, blowing those rings. The flavors were good, especially with the vape. That was kind of a gateway to actual cigarettes, which looked even more stylish. This is not just, whatever, I smoked a few times and then I quit. No, it was a pretty serious addiction. I smoked even a pack a day, and bro, honestly, it's kind of crazy because it's been years since I smoked a cigarette. The last cigarette I had was New Year's Eve of 2022, believe it or not. It was a New Year's resolution. I kind of quit cold turkey, but not entirely, and I'll get into that. Anyway, teenage years, I would smoke. Honestly, I was so stupid. I knew I would get hooked. I wanted to get hooked because I was miserable. I hated myself, to be honest. I thought also, it was what the cooler people, the more grown-up type of people, they were smoking. While the more childish people, the less cool people, let's say, they didn't smoke. They stayed away from all of that junk. But at the time, I didn't realize how smart they were. They were way wiser. They were way wiser because they didn't trust themselves. They didn't trust themselves, so they wouldn't even try these things because obviously the risk of getting addicted is there. So yeah, 17 years old especially, I would smoke. 18 years old also. Now, I would try quitting, but especially at 17 years old, I started hanging out with friends more, like classmates, but also other friends my age. We'd go out in the city, especially if we were drinking. It's like, damn, yeah, let me smoke, drinking liquor, alcohol, whether beer or harder liquor. I mean, man, I remember 17 years old, I drink alcohol, 60-degree alcohol even, just shots. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I was really wicked, bro. Honestly, I was very addicted. I think this is something common with people that are kind of spiritually not developed, but they do have this type of spirituality, or rather they are very sensitive people, and I'm a very sensitive person, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, I just think that you try to numb that pain, and yeah, those addictions, whatever it is, they kind of give some type of relief, but it's only short term. So anyway, yeah, I'd go out, and especially with the alcohol, man, it was really bad. The end of 2019, that's when it really kind of spiraled out of control. Now, thankfully, or, not really thankfully, but the lockdown came. And at that point, I wasn't in the city anymore. I had no bad influences around me, no alcohol, no cigarettes either. So for months, I was clean. And those were great months. I wasn't stuck in the city. I was in the countryside. People were freaking out over this fake problem out there, this fabricated, manufactured crisis, this ridiculous narrative. So people were freaking out. I was chill. Initially, before it hit, I was kind of like Alex Jones, thinking, they're gonna kill us. They're trying to kill us all with this lab-made thing, But then I realized, there's nothing to worry about. What is this nonsense? I don't trust the TV. I don't trust the news, So those months were really chill. I wasn't smoking cigarettes. I wasn't drinking alcohol. And I was just a more solar type of person. I also started reading the Bible. I had been a Christian, but, my first year as a Christian, I was not a good Christian at all. I did believe in the gospel, but I just was very worldly. Still, I had a lot of addictions that I was dealing with. All right. Fast forward to 2020. I guess I started smoking again towards the end of 2020 because at that point the lockdown was over. We got back to the city, and oh man, for me it was so difficult. It was a very difficult transition because, after all those peaceful months, basically a vacation. It was like heaven on earth, honestly, those months. I was just in the countryside, chilling with my family, not worrying that much, building up my faith. Then we got back to the city. It was so gray, so restrictive as well, so crushing. I mean, we had to wear these muzzles. Even outdoors, in, at least in my city in Rome, here in Italy, crazy times. Plus, I was very anxious about potential requirements. It was just stressful, I started smoking again. Eventually, 2021, my addiction just spiraled out of control. That's when it got at its worst. It was so bad. It was such a miserable year. And I don't go into detail. I might go into detail in the future, but it was just, honestly, it was really scarring. So yeah, that year my addiction really got bad, and oh my goodness, yeah, I would smoke a pack a day, Marlboro Golds, I like those, And then the fall came, and I started a university course. I didn't like it at all, but those months I was trying to grind and resist cigarettes, and I was pretty successful. I had this friend, he smoked. I refused smoking in that period. Eventually, 2022 came. I started smoking again. So for me, this struggle with nicotine has always been, I'm on it pretty regularly until I'm not. So it's a very irregular, it was at least a very irregular relationship with the cigarettes. I'd have periods where I'd smoke nothing, periods where I would smoke, but I was never in between. Some people I knew, they would smoke 3 cigarettes a day or something. I was never like that. Another thing, in 2021, well, also before, but in 2021 is when I actually own my own. We have iqos in Italy, so it's pretty much heated up tobacco. The subtle thing about that is that I guess it doesn't do as much damage as one cigarette, but you're gonna end up smoking twice as many of those heats. I smoked tons of those, also because I would smoke them in my bedroom, they didn't smell as bad as cigarettes, though they did smell bad, but it was a different type of smell. It wouldn't stick around that much. So, I don't know, in my environment, a lot of these people would smoke these things, and I would smoke them too. I smoked tons of those. Now, eventually 2022 came, and at that point I switched to a different course of studies. Now, obviously, I didn't want to study because for me, universities were like indoctrination facilities. I didn't trust it at all. But I thought it would be better to do something, do nothing. All right. So anyway, yeah, in those months, I kind of stopped with the iqos, but I picked up the cigarettes that you roll yourself. And actually, in a way, that was a blessing because I would smoke less. It would satisfy me for longer, and it was also less harmful in a way because the paper from standard mass-produced cigarettes is very toxic. It's got a lot of junk. While if you're rolling your own papers, I think it's a little less harmful, though harmful, but at the same time was something that it kind of satisfied me more, so I wouldn't even smoke that much. Or I wouldn't smoke as many of those rolled cigarettes. It was a nice ritual. I would roll them. I wasn't that good at rolling them, but it was fun. And anyway, eventually, I don't know why, I switched back to cigarettes, and my addiction was getting out of control again. So I'd be smoking 1 pack a day. Now, I had tried reading Alan Carr's book, It's Easy to Stop Smoking. What is it called? I forget the name. Alan Carr's Easy Way. This book was actually phenomenal because, it might seem like a weird book, but it actually just it's pretty much just dropping constant truth bombs. The truth will set you free. The moment I realized, the first time I read it, I kind of skimmed through it. I didn't really read it that seriously. So yeah, I tried to quit. I wasn't able. The second time I actually stopped and read it carefully. And yeah, it really penetrated that time. It made me realize, yeah, the truth will set you free because I was believing so many falsehoods about cigarettes, thinking that I actually enjoyed it. No, I didn't enjoy it. That stuff was suffocating me. It wasn't relaxing me. It was junk. And I started to see this also with other smokers. It was like, they're not enjoying that either. It's all a lie. It's all deception, this trap of addiction. I read that book December 2022, the second time, and that time it did work. Miraculously somehow. I don't know how. But anyway, yeah, I took that decision, quit cold turkey. What happened afterwards? Because this is not over. The struggle with nicotine wasn't over. The struggle with the cigarettes, yeah, but the nicotine still continued and it lingered for so long. So basically 2022, I think it was a couple months I didn't smoke a cigarette, but I did try a cigar. And oh my goodness, that felt very nice. I remember that cigar just gave me such an incredible buzz, and there I was hooked on nicotine again. Those months I would smoke cigars, and also I had some buddies, they liked narghileh. It's not really popular in Italy, but yeah, the shisha tobacco, oh my goodness, it was so good. It tasted amazing, and I just loved blowing rings, and just these huge clouds of smoke and vapor and whatever. So yeah, I got got hooked on that again. So just crazy amounts of nicotine in me from the cigars and from the shisha. Now, thankfully not from the cigarettes, so it wasn't as regular, but still, I was very much hooked. And fast forward a year of doing that. 2023, the first summer since I started smoking, I didn't smoke a single cigarette. I would smoke some cigars kind of sporadically, so, and that was a great summer. But I did still drink alcohol at the time. Now, 2024, I stopped drinking alcohol that summer and no cigarettes, but I picked up another bad thing, which is the nicotine pouches that you put below your lip. And the first time I tried that, it had been in 2023, I think. I tried it, and it was just, oh my goodness, it was such an incredible sensation, you know? But 2024 is when I started buying it. I was at a friend, and it was like an internal joke, almost like a meme that we would just snooze, you know? Oh my goodness, that spiraled out of control as well. In 2 days, I'd already finished that package of 20 pouches. And nicotine is extremely poisonous, like it's very toxic. So, I mean, I was just so lethargic. Yeah, it felt nice, but I was also feeling so terrible from it. My sleep was terrible. One of the stupid reasons I would do this nicotine is, you know, because of the parasite pill. So nicotine is supposedly good against parasites. That was my way to cope with, oh, whatever, you know, I'm just doing it against the parasites or whatever. So this deserves a video in itself, this parasite pill, which I think can kind of drive you nuts if you're constantly thinking about it. Anyway, that's a video for another time. So yeah, I would do nicotine. I kind of stopped doing the shisha hookah, and the cigars I did less, but yeah, I switched to these nicotine thingies, and oh my goodness. But the good thing about it is that it was only a summer thing. So 2024, yeah, that summer I did those nicotine pouches, but then for a year until the next summer, I pretty much didn't, except maybe a few times, a few moments of weakness. 2025, I also, and I regretted it so much, also because before I had done it with a different brand, an Italian brand, very good, Vero, but then I switched to Zin, which is like pretty popular in America. Zin is disgusting, guys. I beg you, do not do Zin. That brand is complete junk. I mean, the difference is abysmal between Vero and Zin. Not that Vero is good, you should do that, but if you're gonna do one, you better not do Zin. Zin is disgusting. It made me feel terrible. But the good thing is that it made me feel so bad that it pretty much, like, I literally was disgusted by nicotine at that point. But actually, 2025, you know, even though it kind of grossed me out, Zin, I did have a really tough year. I started a new university course, I finished my undergraduate, but then I transitioned to a master's degree. You know, I thought, well, I've already done a few years, I might as well just do these extra years, and whatever, that certificate or whatever, which I didn't care about because I think appeal to credentials is one of the worst logical fallacies out there, so. But, you know, I was just, well, whatever, let me just make my parents proud, but it was ruining my relationship with God, and it was really making me miserable. So, since I don't do alcohol, I had quit alcohol, I don't smoke cigarettes, so nicotine was really the main thing left to kind of numb that pain, try to cope. And I wasn't relying on God's word enough, but I don't know, it got really painful for me. So mental health is very crucial in dealing with addictions. And I really empathize with people with addictions, whether it's, I don't know, cocaine or heroin or whatever, alcohol, nicotine. I really empathize with these people. And I think a big mistake from a lot of Christians is not understanding their struggle enough. I mean, there's so much condemnation. Guys, we're living in a really messed up world and a really messed up time period. It's like, go easy on these people, and usually the most critical people are the most hypocritical as well. And I've definitely fallen for this in the past, where I'm very harsh, very hypercritical, very strict, and I may even be abstaining from a lot of those vices, but I kind of lose charity, empathy, and grace towards other people. You know, I would really get angry at certain relatives who, you know, maybe were obese, like American relatives that were obese. I was like, how can they have no self-control? How can they be so undisciplined, so sloppy? That's shameful, that's disgusting. You know, I wasn't looking at my own self, because I also struggle with those things, but in a different form. So it was just totally hypocritical, and we shouldn't be very judgmental as Christians, you know. God is the judge, he's the legislator, he's the executor. So yeah, that's kind of my position. Now I guess my addiction has kind of forced me to, you know, appreciate God's grace more, first of all, and also realize that I can't lean on myself that much. Yeah, it's kind of humbled me in a way. So it's not all negative. Like, I think these addictions, these seasons can serve a purpose. But yeah, at the moment, my nicotine addiction is not really present. Like, I don't think I've smoked, well, I haven't smoked hookah in months. I don't remember the last time I smoked it. I think it's just because I saw some friends and we hung out outside one evening. Yeah, the cigars, I don't really enjoy them that much, to be honest, which is a great thing, I would say. But sometimes I enjoy them. You know, I'll enjoy having a cigar. I'm not a Calvinist. I enjoy having a cigar with like a mug of tea or something sweet that I can drink along with it. You know, I like that. It's a relaxing type of ritual almost. You know, I'll just sit in the sun and I enjoy that. And you've probably seen it in a few videos. And what else? Oh, the nicotine. Well, the nicotine is more of a summer thing. I don't really consume it that much during winter months, spring and autumn, unless I'm really like, I don't know. It's those moments of weakness. But still, that doesn't mean that I'm addiction free, guys. Like, you look at me, you just know me through a screen probably. You don't know my struggles, so, but I really struggle. Like, I would say I'm very carnal. I wanted to open up about it, not to justify this because that's the last thing I want to do, but I just describe my experience with this addiction, and especially this addiction while being a believer. You know, my experience with it. And I feel like a lot of Christians, especially people that maybe grew up in church that never fell for these things, they really can't understand this struggle as much. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, I hope this video has been a blessing. I'll see you next time. God bless.